tonight's presentation. As you probably already know, there have been a number of different presentations that have already gone on with our counselors. We're going to give you a brief overview tonight, and tonight is an opportunity to meet our department chairs, our head counselor, and to do any Q&A at the end that you guys might have now that you're in the middle of this course selection process. Again, we're so excited to be with you here tonight. My name is Ben Faubert. I'm the principal of Mountain House High School.
And I'm Brian Shum. I'm the Associate Principal of Curriculum Instruction here at Mountain House High School.
So the first thing that we're going to do tonight, obviously we're welcoming you here tonight, and I'm going to kick it over to Brian really quick, and he can introduce each of our department chairs.
Yeah, thank you, Ben. So I just want to take a minute and introduce each of our department chairs who are here with us this evening. The first one up is Carrie Moquette.
Hi there. I'm Dr. Carrie Moquette. I'm the chair of the Career Technical Education Department, and you may be aware of all of the areas that we cover: business, engineering, computer science, arts, dance. Brian, help me. Yeah, they have engineering. Yes. And we also have our medical as part of our CTE. We have just such a broad, diverse, real world career ready, getting students ready for careers, not not their academics. So it's an exciting department.
Thanks, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. The next up from our Visual and Performing Arts Department is Lori Close. Lori, it looks like you're muted there.
Got it.
There you go.
I'm Lori Close, and I'm department chair for Visual and Performing Arts. So we have Art 1, 2, 3, AP Art, Ceramics 1 and 2, Drama 1, 2, 3, plus Stagecraft, which is an exciting class, and as well as band, orchestra, and choir. So if you are interested in the arts, this is a good place to start.
Thank you, Lori. The next up from our Special Ed Department is Victoria Ibarra.
Hi, everyone. I'm the chair for the SPED department. We run things a little differently. We offer SPED supports with students for students with disabilities. This includes offering resource classes and then special ed classes for math, English, science, and history. We also have teachers and paraeducators that push into classrooms, into gen ed classrooms. We provide speech and counseling services for students who have that on their IEPs. And then we also work closely with our gen ed teachers and administration to make sure that we provide all the support that's needed for our students.
Thank you, Victoria. The next department is World Language, and we have Francisco Soto.
Hello, everyone. My name is Francisco Soto, the department chair of the World Languages Department. We offer 3 languages. We offer French, Chinese, Spanish, and by taking these classes, students will be prepared to achieve the highest recognition of a language learner, the State Seal of Biliteracy. That's all for me.
Thank you. Then our next department is Science, and our department chair is Donna Earle.
Hi, I'm Donna Earle, and the department chair. I said it twice. Our courses are organized into life and physical sciences. To meet graduation requirements, students are required to take 1 life science class and 2 physical science. They usually take biology in 9th grade. We do offer honors and AP courses in each of the required courses and AP Environmental Science. And we do partner with Biomedical Science Pathway. They're on our team, and they have a great 4-year curriculum and a highly recognized HOSA student organization.
Thank you, Donna. Next from our Social Studies Department is Travis Buster.
Hello, good evening. My name is Travis Buster, Department Chair for the Social Sciences Department. Our department works to develop a bunch of skills not limited, including not limited to research, claim testing, literacy sourcing, et cetera, et cetera. To meet graduation requirements, students are required to complete 3.5 years of units within our core sequence, which starts with global studies freshman year. But starting their freshman year, they'll have the option to take some elective courses, including AP as well.
Thank you, Travis. Then next up is our English Language Arts Department with Veronica Davies.
Hi, I'm Veronica Davies, department chair for the English department. Students are required to take 4 years of English to meet the graduation requirements. They're enrolled in the English course that correlates with their grade level. However, each grade level offers an advanced course. For example, freshmen and sophomore students can take honors English, while juniors and senior students can take AP courses if they would like.
Great. Thank you, Veronica. And I believe last up from our health PE department is Stephen Gatehouse.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Stephen Gatehouse, representing the Health and Physical Education Department. Our department has classes in both the physical education and then the health and adulting realms. Health, we'll start off with them first. Health is a semester course for freshmen, which you will see, and then we have adulting, which is a full year senior course once your kids get to that grade level. As far as physical education goes, we have 3 different levels, PE1 for freshmen, and then different selections at both the PE2 and PE3 levels, as well as our A through G elective sport and movement science. We've also been working to build a pathway in the kinesiology realm, and we have a couple students just about done with completing those 4 classes and finishing the capstone up.
Perfect. Thank you, Stephen. We're really fortunate to have such a great group of teachers and department chairs working with us on our leadership team. They're going to stick around and they're going to be available to answer any questions specific to their departments or pathways at the end of the presentation tonight. So we're going to move into the next part. I just want to bring special attention to our CTE department. It's CTE Celebration Month this month, February. And we're having a special event next week. It's going to be a virtual education committee meeting all about our CTE program. So currently we have 8 CTE pathways in biomedical science, digital arts, media arts, dance, culinary arts, computer science, engineering, and business. We're going to have each of our pathway teachers here presenting more about their programs. They're going to share some of the student work and share some highlights of the programs that they're working on. So CTE, about 70% of our students are participating in a CTE pathway this year. That's just a great way to get some real world industry experience while still a high school student. One of the opportunities that is going to be available to you if you attend the committee is we're looking at for feedback for the next pathways that we're going to offer. So if you attend it, you'll be the first people who get to pitch in some feedback based on that. And we're also looking for industry professionals who want to serve in advisory roles for our CTE teachers. And these are just industry professionals, anybody who works in the industries that are targeted by these pathways. You can be advisors just to make sure that the curriculum and the teaching that we're doing, the programs that we're using match what are actually being seen out there in the real world. So please attend the meeting next week. It's a virtual meeting, and there's going to be some more information going out through Parent Square tomorrow if you'd like to join that committee meeting next week. So next up, we're fortunate to have our amazing head counselor, Karen Friesen, with us. So she's going to share some overview, some general information about the course selection process, and some things that you can expect and some important deadlines. And then following Karen, we'll have an opportunity for some questions and answers.
Before Karen gets started, I just want to acknowledge that we know that questions are already coming in, and we do see them, and we will be answering those questions at the end of the presentation. So please keep them coming. We'll keep track of them, and we'll try to get to as many of these questions as possible at the very end. And Karen Friesen, thank you so much for being here tonight, and take it away.
Okay, we're going to do a brief overview of the course selection. A lot of you have heard this information in previous presentations from myself or our other counselors. So we're just going to hit the highlights to give you guys plenty of time to ask questions tonight. And for those of you who are here who have reached out to me or other counselors by email with these questions, we are working hard to get back to you as quickly as we can. I'm averaging right now about 50 new emails between the time I leave around 4 and the time I get back to work at 7:30. So I'm doing my best to work through those, and you'll hear from us very soon. Hopefully tonight we'll be able to address some of those questions and concerns as well. Next slide, please. So when doing course selection, it's very important to be aware of the requirements for MHHS graduation and A through G eligibility. A through G eligibility is what they need to complete in order to be qualified to apply to a California State University or a University of California school. So these requirements are fairly similar. I just want to highlight a couple major differences that sometimes affect the course selection for our students. For the college requirements that you see there in purple, you see that for math, there are 3 years required and 4 years recommended. What that means is 3 levels. So when your child has completed Math 3, no matter what year of high school they do that, they have met the requirement for college. However, we would advise them to continue taking math for all 4 years of high school. And you also see that in language, that 2 years are required and 3 years are recommended. Again, that's 2 levels. So they can meet this requirement, for example, by taking Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. They could not meet this requirement by taking Spanish 1 and French 1. It has to be at least 2 levels, preferably 3, of the same language. And whenever you see a recommendation, you've probably heard that colleges are pretty competitive, so we would highly encourage your student to meet that recommendation if at all possible. On our graduation requirements in the blue column, a couple main differences from the college requirements are that we require 1 year of either a world language or a visual performing art. And you can see that you do need both of those categories for college. And we do require 2 years of PE. And in 9th grade, they'll all take the same PE, but in 10th grade, they have a ton of really great options. And they also can potentially have the option to waive that 2nd year of PE if they're a student athlete or part of our marching band for 4 seasons. You also may see that the elective credits are 60 credits, and that's the highest number on our list. However, if they are taking at least 6 classes a year at Mountain House High School and they're passing all of their classes, they will automatically be fulfilling that elective credit. So although it's a big number, that's the one that, as a counselor, I worry about the least. Next slide, please. So those of you who have students in high school may be familiar with this, but since we're talking to all grade levels tonight, I just want to make sure that we all understand about how grades and credits work in high school. So students will earn a letter grade at the end of each semester in each one of their classes, and that goes on their permanent record, which is their transcript. And they'll use that transcript when applying for college and sometimes when applying for jobs as well. Students must earn a D or above in each semester of their classes to earn credits towards high school graduation. They must earn a C or above to be eligible to apply to a 4-year college. So a quick way to remember is D for diploma, C for college. And of course, they are opening up more possibilities and opportunities for themselves the higher their grades are. Next slide, please. Occasionally, we do have situations where a student would earn a D or an F in a course. So if they earn an F, they may need to do credit recovery in order to be eligible to graduate from high school or apply to 4-year college. And if they earn a D, they will still be on track for high school graduation, but they will need to do credit recovery if they would like to be 4-year college eligible. Summer school is the most common way that our students do credit recovery. We don't offer classes for advancement in summer school, with the exception of Math 1 for incoming 9th graders. The rest of our summer school is dedicated to credit recovery for those students who want to get back on track to reaching their goals. Other options include 7th class during the school year or our alternative education program. So if you have questions about credit recovery or your student has earned a D or an F and they'd like to know how to repair that, they can reach out to their counselor and we will help them make a plan that's best for them. Next slide, please. So at MHHS, your student's standard schedule is 6 classes and 1 flex period. We call that the standard schedule because if students are passing 6 classes for each year of high school, they will earn a total of 240 credits in high school, and 230 credits are required for graduation. If they take that 6-period schedule, they have lots of opportunities to prepare for college, but they also are promoting a balance between academics and personal life. We find that our students tend to be really busy after school. We're so lucky that we have such engaged and enthusiastic students who really want to participate in sports and clubs and community service and all kinds of other things. That sometimes means that they have a little bit less time for homework. So we built that flex period option into our day with the intention of lowering student stress. We do guarantee that all students will get at least 6 classes if they request that, and they may request 7. We'll do our best to accommodate that request if they'd like to explore more electives, but we do guarantee 6. Next slide. One of the choices that you will find that your student is making when they're selecting their courses on Aries is choosing whether to take a regular level class or an honors or AP class. So just to give you a little bit of information to make sure that you're guiding your students well with making that decision, we recommend a maximum of 2 honors or AP classes per year. We do not limit it because we trust that you and your student can decide what you'd like to be able to handle. But the reason that we recommend 2 is that that is enough to show colleges that they're choosing rigorous coursework and challenge themselves, but not so much that they're really losing out on sleep and we see that their stress levels are rising. So it's all about that balance. They might be ready for that honors level course. If they enjoy the subject, they're getting an A in similar subjects, and mainly that they have the time and the motivation to do the work because honors is about double the homework as a regular course on average. They may not be ready yet if it's a subject they don't enjoy or someplace where their grades are not strong, or if they have so many extracurricular time commitments that it would make it hard for them to be able to devote the time and effort that they would need to be successful in that honors course. So those are just some factors to consider when you are selecting honors or AP. Next slide. So course requests, we do our very best to give every student their first choice of classes. As counselors, we are your student support team here in the high school, and we like happy students and happy families. So our goal is to accommodate first choice of classes whenever possible. However, sometimes classes do get full or conflict with one another or get canceled. So in that case, students might be placed into their alternate course request or a flex period. So the courses that you are helping your children select right now through the Aries portal are requests, they're not guarantees. Most of our courses are full year-long courses. So particularly if you have a student who is coming into 9th grade, this might be a change from some of their schedules at the K-8. So they're committing to each of their classes for the full year. And while we do allow them to request changes at the semester, options are extremely limited. So make the selections with the goal of sticking with a class for the full year. They will get a final version of their schedules in walkthrough registration in August, so a few days before school starts. At that time, they're going to see the order of their classes and their assigned teachers. They may request course changes during the first 2 weeks of school, and we'll grant those on a space available basis. They cannot request teacher changes or class order changes, but they can request to change a level of a class or an elective. However, as our school grows, we find that our space in courses becomes more limited. So we ask that you guys give those courses some really good consideration right now and sign up for what you think you're likely to want, because right now, our course window is open until Friday for you guys to sign up, and we build our master schedule around what your students request right now in February. So if you are requesting it, we are going to try to build in space for it. Next slide. So a version of this presentation with a lot more details is available on our website. If you missed it, we have some recorded versions of our presentations. We have a link to our course catalog where you can read about what is entailed in all of the courses that they're choosing. You can also access our course list and a variety of other resources. So I would encourage you to go over there and look at the resources on our website to help answer any questions. And in addition, you can reach out to counselors by email, and we will get back to you as soon as time allows.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen. We hope that some of this information was useful to you. Also, we encourage you to take a look at our counseling website. There's plenty of information there, way more in-depth information. And it's the time of night that everybody, I think, has been waiting for, the question and answer portion. And we're going to leave Karen on here, and we'll let our department chairs come in as some of these questions come through, or put them on with us if they have anything to add, if it is specific to the department or to the CTE pathway. So we'll get started. We're going to get through as many of these questions as possible. It doesn't look like there's a whole ton, but as we answer questions, some more may come up in your minds, and we encourage you to place them in the chat stream, and we'll get to them. And the first question says, and I'm going to turn Lori Close on here because it is an art question. So welcome back, Lori. So the question is, can my student skip Art 1 and go directly to Art 2 if they have already learned art fundamentals outside of high school? Lori, can you give us a little insight?
Thank you. Yes, they can do that. If they feel they're in a different level, all they have to do is just email me, lclose@lammersvilleusd.net. A small portfolio of images showing that they have knowledge in observational drawing and painting, some color theory and use in different media like watercolors, acrylic, colored pencils, and then we could further discuss where they think they are. But yes, they can do that.
Yeah, I think it's important to note that while students may have fundamentals of art, there are very specific skills that they learn in Art 1 that that Mrs. Close and the other art teacher want to make sure that the student has a solid knowledge of before we move them on to Art 2. But it's definitely something that is possible. Mm-hmm. Karen, would you like to add anything else?
No, Lori said that that really well.
Good, perfect, thanks. So let's see. This is a great question for a counselor. May I know the advantages of taking AP Spanish, though the student already completed the recommended years of language course? And I'm also going to turn Francisco Soto's camera on if he has any additional information. Karen, you want to answer that first?
Sure. So although 3 years are recommended, if a student completes 4 years, which would include AP Spanish in high school, then they qualify for the California Seal of Biliteracy, along with some other qualifications that they need for that, but primarily it's that 4 years. So that's a gold seal that they get on their diploma and can be a great option for them to put on college applications. In addition, the AP Spanish really gets them to that in-depth practice of the language so they would be able to use those Spanish skills more frequently in future jobs or schools.
Francisco, can you speak to the kinds of things that students will learn in an AP class beyond what they've learned in Spanish 3?
Yes, in AP class, we focus a lot on culture, and the students, the class has a higher rigors, and just the practice and activities that we do are at a higher level than the previous classes.
Great, thanks, Francisco. The next question is, what is the difference between a pathway like biomedical and CTE? Brian, why don't you tackle that one?
Yeah, so pathways are what we refer to our different CTE programs as. So biomedical would be its own CTE pathway. And each pathway is a segment of courses. It's designed to be a 3 or 4 year pathway in which they take an intro course, a concentrator course, or 2 concentrator courses, and then a capstone course. So that whole sequence of courses is the pathway for the CTE program. I saw another question here about a capstone project for media arts or digital arts. Yes, each of our CTE pathways does conclude with a capstone course, which has a project embedded in it. Then usually it's a project where there's a lot of student involvement in the design of the project. Usually it's a group-oriented type project, but it's an opportunity for them to demonstrate all the skills that they learned throughout the pathway and apply them in a way that's going to reflect like current industry practices somehow.
Great. Karen, the next question is, are there any minimum requirements to take AP and honors courses?
So there's a couple ways I could interpret this. So forgive me if I'm answering the wrong question that you're asking, but AP and honors courses are not required in order to graduate from MHHS or go to college. However, if your student is interested in challenging themselves with an AP or honors course, some of those do have prerequisites, but a lot of them they can just sign up for if they're interested in accessing that and learning at that level.
Great, thanks. The next question has a little bit to do with PE, and I'm going to expand on the question. So the question is, when can the blue PE shirt be bought from ASB, and what does ASB stand for? So I'll start, and the extra question I'm going to ask Mr. Gatehouse is, why is it important that students dress out for PE? Because that is a trafficked question here. So first of all, the blue PE shirt can be bought at our walkthrough registration that happens before the school year starts. It happens a couple of days before the school year starts, where kids come and pick up their schedules and get their ID pictures. And ASB stands for Associated Student Body. It is basically the company that our students run to fundraise and do activities on campus and really build culture at our school. So Stephen, if you could tell us just briefly, why is it so important that a student have something to dress out into for PE?
Yeah, certainly. Well, there's a few reasons there. One of them being safety, depending on what kind of shoes they wore to school. Generally, we want to make sure that the kids are going to be wearing an athletic, non-marking sole shoe to class. So that way they are keeping their body safe and making sure that we're not tearing up the floor in the gym or the tennis courts or wherever it is we are. Second of all, just kind of a personal responsibility piece as well as a hygiene piece, making sure that the kids are not running around during our class in their school clothes and then heading to the next class after building up a sweat. We're hoping that they're all participating enough that they would be potentially breaking into a sweat. That is our goal there. So those are the three big things: just safety, personal responsibility, and hygiene, really.
Okay. So I'm hearing you don't want them to be stinky at school, right?
It's tough.
All right. Karen, the next question is an interesting one. And I think that the question is, it's asking, can a senior take AP Calc from Delta College? And if you could just discuss the difference between an AP course and a college course.
Sure. So an AP course is high school specific. It's a nationwide program that's offered through high schools, and students earn high school credit for completing an AP course. However, they do have the opportunity to take an AP exam, and if they score well on that exam, they can potentially earn college credit. A college course, they will automatically earn college credit by completing that course, since it is at a college. So while colleges don't offer AP courses, they may offer a college level course in a similar topic. So Calc BC could fall into that range. They would offer potentially some calculus based courses. And you could speak with your student's counselor if they're interested in pursuing an option for a higher math at Delta. That's not something that would go on their MHHS transcript, but they could choose to pursue that independently if they'd like.
The next question is kind of related. And so without going into super detail, because if people have questions about college courses, we really recommend that you call a counselor first. Or contact a counselor to make sure that you understand what this is about. But I have a question from a parent asking, how can the student take language outside of Mountain House High School? And they said specifically history as well outside of high school. But if you can just talk about articulated courses and what we do and do not put on our transcript, specifically in particular to language, and then also other outside courses.
Got it. So there are some courses that students take outside Mountain House High School that we will articulate, meaning that we will put that on our Mountain House High School transcript. We will articulate a course if it is meeting a basic graduation or A through G requirement, and if the student has completed our non-MHHS course approval process prior to taking the course, because we do have a specific timeline. So students must complete a course by December of the year prior to which that course is required. So for example, 10th graders take world history. So if a student would like to replace world history with a Delta College course, then they could take world history at Delta College in the fall semester of 9th grade. So it would be complete by December of the year prior to when it's required. It gets a bit complicated. So we do have a chart at the link that Mr. Faubert just put up that gives you a sample of what they can take, particularly in the areas of history and English, and when they would be able to take that. Now, to address language specifically, we give students the opportunity at MHHS to take Spanish, French, and Chinese. And if they are trying to take a language that is not offered at MHHS, they are welcome to pursue that through an outside organization. We just ask that they talk with their counselor first so we can make sure they're taking an approved course. We do not articulate courses in Spanish, French, and Chinese because that is available at Mountain House High School. And because of the timing of the courses and the cumulative nature of language courses, we wouldn't have them taking a level 2 of a language while they're still taking the first semester of level 1, for example. So that's why we won't articulate the courses that we do offer at MHHS.
Can you speak just briefly? I know you've already given us a lot of good information. Just speak briefly about there are a couple of schools that we have already articulated with in 2 specific languages.
Sure. So if your student has already been learning Tamil or Telugu, and Hindi as well is now in the approval process. So if they learn those through an outside language academy, those do get approval through a principal certification process. So those will be articulated onto transcript if they've taken that in 7th grade and above.
Great, thank you. Let's see. What is the max number for AP courses that are counted for GPA calculation?
For Mountain House High School GPA, there is no maximum. Any AP course that they take will be counted into their Mountain House High School GPA. For college GPA, Each college has their own formula for how they choose to calculate GPA, and often colleges are not particularly transparent about that. But CSU and UC do share a formula for calculating GPA, and they do have a limit of 8 semesters of AP or honors courses that they will give a boosted GPA credit to. So we do run workshops during the year specifically about how to calculate a GPA from your student's transcript for CSU and UC. And that is coming up during our college week in March or April. I forget which month it's scheduled this year, but pretty soon we'll be running a workshop specifically about that if you'd like more in-depth information.
Great. The next question is it possible for an incoming sophomore student to complete Math 2 earlier in the during the summer?
No, we don't have that option right now.
No. So as was shared before, we do not have a summer ability to do that during our summer school, and we don't accept outside credits for that. If you're in the math program, students have the opportunity, even if they take Math 1 in their freshman year, to get all the way through calculus, AP calculus, by their senior year at the high school. And that is the highest level of math that we offer at the high school. So this is a question for Stephen Gatehouse. Stephen, what is the difference between PE Lifetime Fitness and PE Human Performance?
It's a great question. Actually, we were just talking to the current students the other day about the differences between a couple of the PE Course 2 offerings. So you listed 2 of the PE Course 2 classes that they will be able to choose from after they complete freshman PE. But the long and short of it is Lifetime Fitness is more geared towards personal fitness and step counting and goal setting and fitness tracking, things of that nature, versus a more team sports related or team sports oriented class. Those who maybe like to do more individual work or just kind of focus on themselves versus participating in a group, Lifetime Fitness would be the class for them, versus Human Performance, which is more strength training and endurance training and weight room based. Hopefully that answers your question, but that's pretty much the long and short of it.
Great, thanks. Karen, how many seasons of a sport do you need to waive a year of PE?
You need 4 seasons of a sport. So that could either be the same sport for all 4 years of high school, or you can mix and match. If your student plays 2 sports a year, then they will complete those 4 seasons by the end of their sophomore year.
So here's a follow-up question that's not written here. When they waive the PE by taking 4 seasons of a sport, do they get credit for that class?
They do not. So for each course they take, they earn 10 credits in a year. So if they waive those 10 credits of PE, then those credits don't go away, but they move over to the elective category. So a student could choose to take a different elective and not take a PE class if they are a student athlete. However, lots of our student athletes do still take our PE classes because it's good training and preparation for their sport.
Great. So if a student wants to attend the digital arts pathway, should it be selected as one of their electives? Right now, they have French 1 and Flex as their 2 electives.
So if they'd like to fit digital arts into their schedule, they could take Flex out and add digital arts in, or they could take French out and add digital arts in. So they would need to select digital arts 1 in order to have that as one of her electives and begin that pathway.
Perfect. There's a couple of questions in here again about summer courses that are available for incoming 10th, 11th graders. And I want to just emphasize again that the only courses that we offer at the high school are for credit recovery only, except for that incoming ninth grader Math 1 skipper course. So that is the only one that is available. There are options for students to take classes at Delta College in the summer, but that is completely outside of what we offer at the high school. So I'm going to let Veronica Davies answer this question. It's not an English specific question, but it is an AP specific question, and she might have some insight. What is the summer commitment for AP courses? If you can give us an idea just from the English department, and then we can generalize that for the other departments.
Yeah, the AP requirements include summer reading, which a variety of summer reading. So AP for 11th graders is nonfiction based. The reading would be a nonfiction. It's a writing based course analyzing those nonfiction texts. And the senior AP course is fiction based. It's all about discussing and analyzing and writing about the literature that's read. So the summer reading would focus on those two types of genres, depending on which level, junior or senior level. And then students should be prepared on the first or second day of school for writing an essay based on those summer readings. So the AP classes dive right in and get started really quickly on the first and second day of school with heavy writing expectations.
I'm going to give Travis Buster and Donna Earl and who else? Anybody who has AP, I'm going to turn your cameras on really quick. Travis, if you can tell us of the AP classes in the social studies department, what are some of the general expectations?
Yeah, very similar, just for students to be prepared early to dive right into the AP courses. There might not be quite as much rigor in terms of reading expectations for the social studies courses over summer, but students will need to be prepared that first week coming in just to catch on to the rigor of the AP courses in the social sciences department.
Great. Donna?
Yeah, in science, almost all of them will have a couple of chapters of assignments to be done, and students will need to be ready to test that first week that they're back. So anywhere from 2 to 3 of the college textbook chapters completed, understood, and be ready to pass their first test in the first week of school.
Thanks. Francisco?
Yeah, for the AP, just like all the other classes, the rigor and the students to be ready. And one thing that the students need to be able to do is to be able to have simple conversations in the language.
Great. Lori Close, you know you have an AP class in your department?
Yes, for AP drawing painting, we ask that they're well versed in mediums and they know how to use colored pencils, acrylic paint, watercolor. They're comfortable with drawing, so they can dive right into the concept, not the technique, because we dive right into their ideas.
Great, thank you. That's similar for most AP classes. There is some work. We try not to overwhelm our students with AP work in the summer, but we do expect some preparation for those students to get ready for the rigors of those classes. So thank you, all the department chairs. I know our math department chair is not here. They have similar expectations. There's some work over the summer that they're going through to make sure that they don't lose some of those skills that they have over the summer to be ready to dive right back into those AP classes. Okay, our next question. Let's see. This is a question. Selecting biomedical pathway course in Aries is adding that course under life sciences, not under electives. Is that correct? And that is correct. It is in the life sciences area. Anything to say about that, Karen?
The categories in Aries are not the best guide for which courses your student should select. So counselors came to visit all of your students' classrooms and they were given a worksheet guideline. These are all posted on the website as well with the 7 courses they can choose. So those are what we recommend to use as your guideline for course selection. Biomedical does fall into the life science category, but when we're talking about filling spots in their schedule, it counts as an elective as well.
Great. So the next question, I'm going to flash up our link here. It has to do with what if my child wants to take, or my incoming 9th grader wants to take Math 1 over the summer? That is the one class that we do offer advancement for in the summer. And I'm flashing up the incoming 9th grade math placement petition. That's the start of that process. They'll fill that out, and then sometime in mid-March, the class will actually be open for them and they can start working on it for the remainder of this school year and into the summer. We did check recently, and Karen, how many hours did we say there was? Was that you that told us how many hours there were?
Yes, I just looked into this today because I have a lot of people asking. So that course is approximately 85 hours long.
Great. Thank you. And then when they're signed up for that class, we will discuss, because all the tests do need to be proctored here on site. And we will be discussing and communicating with parents about and students about how to take those assessments, where they can do it, and all of that good stuff. So yes, that is the information for the math class in the summer. Let's see. We got that one. That one. If my son takes Math 1 in the summer, will he get multiple attempts to clear Math 1 in summer itself so he can start 8th grade in Math 2? They only have one chance to take that class, the 82 hours, and it will start in March. So we encourage you to fill out that petition that we indicated and just make sure that they pass that class. If they don't pass that class, then they will start in Math 1. Let's see.
That class will go on their high school transcript because it is a high school course. So we'd encourage you to only sign up if your student does have that time to dedicate and if they enjoy online learning and that format has worked for them, because we do want them to know that they're committing to a course that will go on their high school transcript.
That's correct. There is a small window at the beginning of summer school, the first week, that if the student has not made satisfactory progress in that first week of summer school, so between March and the end of the first week of summer school, if the student has not made satisfactory progress, we will drop them from the class and it will not show up on their transcript. But after that point, whatever grade the student gets does show up as a part of their transcript. We answered that question. It's a different question. So there are a couple of questions here that are about regular school year things. So I'd encourage you, if you have questions about the length of time it takes for teachers to post grades to Canvas, et cetera, that you reach out to either your student's counselor or their vice principal. It is a policy at our school that our students grade and post grades to Canvas on a regular basis to give that feedback quickly. There's a question about, is marching band an after-school program? And the answer is, Karen?
Yes. However, during their school day, they will take symphonic band, and that is required if they'd like to participate in marching band. And then marching band, they will meet for their practices after school.
Right. Again, I keep seeing questions about classes during the summer to take place of other classes. And we, again, have an articulation list, and there's a timeline that needs to be followed to make sure that they meet those if you're taking outside courses. And again, check with your counselor on that.
And Ben, there is a link that I gave you that's a presentation specifically about advancement options. So looking at that more in depth might be helpful.
Is this the link right here?
Nope, it is. I will find that and let you guys know what the tiny URL is for that, because it's there's a slide deck just specifically about taking classes over summer or replacing requirements at MHHS.
Perfect. This is a question for Mr. Soto. If my kid is already proficient in Spanish, can they get credit for Spanish 1 and just 2, Spanish 2 and 3?
We do offer a placement test if the student has taken a class outside, or they're coming in as a freshman with Spanish 1 already. And Karen, can you help me on this one? They sign up for Spanish 1 first, and then in the beginning of the school year, we do the placement test, and then they're transferred, correct?
That's correct. Yeah, we don't have a way to test them over the summer, so we have them do that in the first week of school if they have some experience in a language and they're feeling like maybe they're misplaced in level 1. They can work with their teachers at that time.
Perfect. Thanks.
And that link for you guys, if you're interested in learning more specifically about advancement is tinyurl.com/advancemhhs. So that's all about taking courses outside of MHHS, non-MHHS courses.
This one.
There it is.
All right. Okay. The next question. Let's see. Can a student choose both computer science and the biomed pathway? This is a great question. Can a student take more than one pathway?
They can. It's most common that students take one pathway just because of the amount of time in high school and all the other electives that they are trying to fit in. However, I do see students take two pathways and complete occasionally. It just depends on how they'd like to use their time in high school. Another thing to keep in mind is that students are welcome to dip a toe into a pathway to get some experience in that coursework. They're not required to complete the pathway. So, for example, if your student really loves computer science, they might choose that they are dedicating their pathway completion to computer science. But maybe when they get to be a junior or senior and they have more space in their schedule, they'd like to try one or two biomedical electives. So that's another way that they can approach the pathways if they don't feel that they have time enough in their schedule to complete two.
Great. The next question is an interesting one. They're asking about the difference between a one-semester course at Delta College and a full-year course at Mountain House High School. And what do the credits look like? Does a one-semester course in college equal a full year of high school?
A one-semester course in college does equal a full year of high school. So a full year of high school will get a student 10 credits for each class, and one semester of a college course will get a student 10 credits at MHHS.
So the other similar question that's being asked now, specific to language, is there's a lot of people saying, what if I take Spanish 1 outside and want to come and take Spanish 2 inside the high school?
So that won't be an option because we don't articulate courses or use them for placement if it's in a language that we do offer at the high school. And that's simply because they don't align well with each other. We know what background they're getting in our Spanish 1 and that they're prepared for our Spanish 2, for example. And that's not always the case with outside courses. So they would need to complete their full Spanish sequence at Mountain House High School.
So in other words, if they start a pathway, language course outside, they need to finish it outside.
That's correct.
If it's one of the languages that we offer.
Right.
Got it. Okay. There's a couple of questions about, can you start a pathway in the 10th grade?
You can. There's a starting point for each pathway in 10th grade. So in a lot of cases, they might miss out on one of the cool courses in that pathway, or in other cases, they might double up. So if they are planning to start a pathway in 10th grade, they can check in with their counselor or their teacher within that pathway to find out how they would complete that pathway by senior year.
Great. So there's more questions about summer school. I'm going to just re-emphasize again, summer school is a credit recovery. It means your child got a D or an F in the course and wants to make up the credits after having failed the course previously. We do not have, the only class we have for advancement is for incoming 9th graders to take Math 1 so they can start in Math 2 their freshman year. Can students take 2 sciences at a time? And I'm going to turn Donna Earle's camera on here as well so she can give some insight. Karen, you want to start and then Donna add anything?
It depends on the 2 sciences. In some cases, students can take 2 sciences at the same time. However, in most cases, it's not recommended. Ms. Earle, can you speak to that?
Yeah, it's really challenging to take multiple sciences because you're learning not only all the different language associated with that science, but in the physical science realm, you're also dealing with all the math associated with it. So a lot of times students will go, wait a minute, when my sophomore and my junior year, I'm taking chemistry and physics. That's like a second math class. And so now if you pile chemistry and physics and math, now a student's taking 3 math classes at one time, which can be really challenging on top of the language that they have to learn about the different sciences and those key vocabulary words. So I love that students want to and don't want to discourage them, but really, really, really want parents and students to think about the commitment and all of that extra work associated with taking on multiple subjects within a science field.
And I would just add that one of the things we're really looking for at the high school is we really want students to get a balance. And really, I think that there's a misnomer that students have to do it all and they have to do it all at once. High school is 4 years. We have more than enough time in a student's schedule to fit in all kinds of courses that allow students to show colleges that they have taken a diverse set of courses that have challenged them so that they're marketable basically to the schools that they're really wanting to go to. And we're really going for a balance. Really what colleges are looking for now is not necessarily an A-making machine that took every honors class that there ever was. They're really looking for students who challenge themselves, but they're looking even more now for what they did outside of school. What extracurricular activities were they involved in? What club did they join? Did they have any leadership opportunities within those clubs or organizations? How did they distinguish themselves from just the student who goes to school and gets A's?
So especially as a lot of colleges move away from the SAT or ACT requirement, those extracurricular commitments become even more important.
Great. There's a question, when ninth graders pick up their schedules, will they be given information about lockers and bicycle storage areas? You want to answer that, Brian?
Yeah, we don't actually have lockers at Mountain House High School. So most of our classes don't actually have physical textbooks. So we don't have a whole lot of need to store things here at school. They do get PE lockers assigned to them if they're taking PE courses. But as far as lockers go, we just don't have them here at school for everyday use. Bicycle storage areas, we do have several around campus at all the major entry points. We'll probably send out more information about that prior to the school year.
Yep. There's a question about Hindi language being available and how to enroll.
Hindi language is not offered within Mountain House High School, so we're not able to help you with the enrollment process for that. However, there is an outside language academy that offers Hindi that we work with in that will be willing to articulate credit. That is the MBK Hindi Language Center. So if students are taking courses there and they send their transcript over, we will articulate that and it will count for their language credit at Mountain House High School. But as far as enrollment, that's done independently.
Okay, here's a great question for Art. Where did Lori go? I gotta find her. Lori, this is an even further one. Somebody asked earlier, can they take art too? And now we've got somebody saying, can we directly take AP art?
So again, we really want to see a portfolio that's very diverse in knowledge of techniques and media, but also by AP art, they have a personal voice. And I think that's really hard for a lot of students unless they've had extensive years prior to AP art. So again, submitting a portfolio and having a discussion with me would probably be best to figure out where you would fit in the schedule.
Right. So is it possible? Yes. Is it typical? Absolutely not. Typically,
Yeah.
you know, while students can have a lot of experience before they come into high school, they still are only ninth graders. And AP art really does come to, they have like a college level knowledge, and not just of producing art, right, Lori?
Right.
It's a lot more than that.
Yeah, and it's really creating a personal, emotional vision of their work. They want it to be like walking into your art studio and seeing all your artwork and all this magnificent work you've done. And I think for kids that don't have a very extensive background, and they've tried to jump into it, maybe coming from digital art or maybe just a year or two outside of Mountain House, they're really stressed out that year. And it's a lot of work. It's 4 to 5 hours of homework a week. So if you're not ready for that, it puts a lot of undue stress upon a student.
Great. There's a like question for computer science, Karen, and I'll try to answer too. There seems to be a lot of questions about wanting to skip classes. I'm going to say again, I know that there's a lot of people out there who have experience with sending their kids to these outside organizations that are teaching them a lot of things about computer science and art and language and things like that. But this is asking, do you have to take AP Computer Science principles? Is there non-AP Computer Science principles offered in Mountain House High School? So first of all, computer science, having experience in computer science and taking a course of study that goes through a very detailed list of standards and expectations is different than going to your local center where your student is learning some of those things. Is it possible to talk to a computer science teacher and skip over the introductory classes? Possibly. With the AP classes, I would say no. AP classes are actually ending in a test that students take that potentially get them college credit. And so taking those classes is important. And if you don't take the classes, there's no way to skip over classes and just finish the pathway. You have to take the classes. There's instruction that students are going to receive. Students are welcome to sign up for AP tests at the end of the year without having taken the class. They will not get credit for having taken the class, but they will get an AP score that they can then provide to colleges and universities for potential college credit. Did I say anything wrong there, Karen?
No, but I just want to address the question of, is there a non-AP computer science option there? The non-AP computer science is that computer science essentials course, and that will prepare them to be ready to take that AP course content. So the best way, if they're feeling a little nervous about taking an AP computer science course, the best thing they can do is take that computer science essentials, and then they will have a really good idea if they're ready to jump into AP or not. But the vast majority of our students feel confident and comfortable after taking computer science essentials to be ready for that AP level computer science.
Right. So the next question is a really good one, and it's about outside language, specifically like our Tamil and Telugu and Hindi classes. So they're wanting to know, if the student's been studying since 7th grade, can they stop at 9th grade to meet the requirement? And then also, can you get the seal of biliteracy if you're taking one of those courses?
Okay, so because the language requirement for college is levels rather than years, as long as they have taken through level 3 of Tamil or Telugu at any point 7th grade or after, then they have met their requirement. So if they took Tamil 3 in 7th grade, their language requirement is complete for California colleges. Now, some out-of-state colleges will want to see that they have taken 2 years, actual years, but for the most part, they're demonstrating their fluency in that outside language. And
then the seal of biliteracy.
For the seal of biliteracy, I know that our Vice Principal Alini White has been working on specifically how they will qualify, but I do believe that there is a way for them to qualify by taking all 4 years of that language and meeting some other requirements.
Yeah, I believe one of the other requirements is there's an oral assessment that they have to take, and Mrs. White is working with those schools to provide those oral assessments. So if a student takes an AP class and gets an A and then decides not to take the AP exam, how does that reflect on their record, on their GPA, etc.?
I can address this one. This is one of my favorite questions.
Me too.
strongly recommend that a student take an AP class with the intention of taking that exam. And here's why. Because students do not submit their AP scores until after they've already been admitted to a college. So it will not hurt them, even if they take the AP test and fail. That does not harm their chances for college. It can only help them. And they've just put a full school year worth of work into learning this content. And a lot of times they know it better than they think they do. So I would really encourage them to try that test. It doesn't harm them if they fail, and it can potentially save them a lot of time and money at college if they pass.
Great. If you take a high school course in 8th grade from BYU, Apex, or Delta, can it go on the high school transcript?
It depends. That's a question to talk to counselors about specifically.
Okay, yeah. I would say call your counselor and they'll discuss that. What are the benefits of, and you can reference, I guess we can reference that there will be an early college pathway meeting that's happening soon. But what are the benefits of the early college pathway from Delta?
Yeah, I definitely encourage you to come to that early college meeting tomorrow night, and you'll get a lot of the ins and outs. But just really briefly, the goal of early college is that students have completed basically their first 2 years of the college experience by the time they graduate from high school, and they've earned an associate's degree. So what that means is that potentially they could save themselves time and money at college by only having 2 more years to complete once they're a high school graduate. However, it is very time intensive and academically rigorous. So it's not the right fit for every student, particularly if they have a lot of time commitments for extracurricular activities. So go to the early college meeting to learn more about that if you want to determine whether that's a good fit for your student. And since I know we have all grade levels here, early college, they have to start in the fall semester of 9th grade. So if you have an older student, they can reach out to their counselor about taking courses at Delta College independently, if that's something they're interested in, or they can check the non-MHHS courses page of our website for more information about that.
This question is for Victoria Lauren. Can a special day student take pathway courses?
Yes, we do encourage all our students at the high school to choose a pathway. However, there are some pathways that have certain requirements and prerequisites in order for them to be successful. You should have a transition meeting coming up for your student within the next month or so. And Alini White, one of our vice principals, will be in attendance there. So I would direct questions to her, or you can email me and we can talk specifically about your student.
Perfect. Thank you. Then this is a good question for both Donna and Karen. Hey, Donna, Karen. Is it recommended or okay to take chemistry before physics?
I didn't know, Karen. The typical pathway is freshmen take biology, sophomores take chemistry, and 11th graders take physics. If you're not feeling confident about your math skills, we encourage you to take physics in the universe and then take chemistry, just because of the amount of algebra that we do in chemistry versus physics in the universe.
Perfectly said. So they have the option to take either physics in the universe or chemistry in 10th grade. And we do have sophomores who do both. It just depends on their comfort level with math. And I would say if they really enjoy math and science and do well and they'd like to take those AP sciences in the future, I would recommend that they take chemistry in 10th grade, because biology and chemistry are the prerequisites for those AP science courses.
And honors over regular if you're looking at an AP pathway.
Yep, great. Francisco, this is kind of related to the last question I think you answered. Do you, with that pretest for Spanish 1, do they have to take a class? Do they have to show proof that they've taken a class? Or do they just need to come in and indicate that they'd like to take the placement test to skip Spanish 1?
Usually we have students that have taken a class at let's say, for instance, in 7th grade, 8th grade at a different school. Or we also have the Spanish speakers that will test out of Spanish 1 at a higher level. I did see a question regarding what is it that we test them on. The placement test will take in consideration their reading, their writing, their speaking, and their listening skills. And we want the students to be at the level and know the concepts, kind of how Karen mentioned that every curriculum is a little bit different. So we expect the students to have the knowledge of the concepts that we have at MHHS.
Great, thank you. What are the procedures to get, sorry, I just turned somebody's camera on. What are the procedures to get the approved courses to be articulated to the transcript, and how long does it take for them to get on the transcript?
They can follow our non-MHHS course procedure to get a course approved, and that is detailed on our website if you go to Counseling Home. This presentation that Ben just linked also has a tiny URL that takes you directly to the non-MHHS course steps and procedures within that. So that's how they would get that approved. They do have to wait until they have begun 9th grade to do that. And how long will it take for them to be articulated? That will depend on when they bring us the transcript and our registrar's workload at the moment. So we submit that to our registrar to be articulated on the transcript. And usually it's not particularly time urgent unless they are a senior and they're applying to college. So we try to get that articulated when our registrar has availability.
Great. The next question is, when do Delta College courses usually happen? During summer break or during holidays? I can answer that one. They happen all the time. They happen during the school year. Sometimes students take them concurrently with their high school courses. They do offer courses during the summer, but we would like you to be very aware of the deadlines if you're using it for articulation to your transcript, and that you look at the articulated courses and when those deadlines are. So if a virtual student who'd like to pursue biomedical or computer science pathway, what are the options since we don't provide pathways for virtual students? I would say, I can answer this one. I would say, unfortunately, we do not have CTE pathway courses that are available online. It's kind of hard to do a career-based, project-based kind of course that is online. Our recommendation for our virtual students, because we do have a fully online program, is that they kind of do a hybrid thing where they take almost all of their classes online, and then they take a biomed class or a computer science class here on our campus. That's really the only option right now. I know that there are online courses out there that students can take on their own that would not be placed on the transcript, that students could engage in with computer science and biomedical science and things like that. And there are a few online electives that are somewhat in those pathways. I believe there's a computer science elective. I know that there's a couple of medical terminology electives and things like that in our online pathway, and we'd encourage you to take a look at those. This is a good question for kind of all of our department chairs, and it has to do with almost all of our department chairs. This is specifically to science, but I'm going to generalize it. Do you suggest a regular level class or an honors class, and why? So let's start with social studies.
I think we mentioned it a couple of times tonight as well. Ms. Friesen did a great job earlier. It really comes down to your student, what their interests are, and what their goals are. All the courses that we offer at MHHS, but I could speak for the social science department, are fantastic courses. I wouldn't want any student to be scared off with regards to content, because the teachers that we have are going to be able to teach the content and help your students with the content. It just comes down to what your students' interests are. I would echo the idea that if they are interested in the subject, so for example, history, if they are interested in history, I would encourage them to take an AP or honors course. If they are not, I would stick to the regular courses. But it just comes down to your students' personal interests.
I think that's actually a great answer that can be generalized to any department. And unless it chat me, department chairs, if you have anything extra to add to Travis's words, but I think that's a pretty good assessment of what an honors course is for and how students should engage and make a decision about honors or regular. It is not necessary for students to take every honors class under the sun. It really should be based on their interests and their dedication and their ability to have time to complete those courses. And remember that it takes a lot more time for students to engage in that curriculum. There is usually more for them to do, more for them to read, deeper thinking that needs to be done and applied to what they're doing. And it should be something that they're really interested in. Thanks, Travis.
We really do have such smart and engaged students at Mountain House High School that I never worry about their ability to understand the course content, because we have teachers who can deliver it and we have students who can take that in. Where I see students struggle in an honors or an AP class, it's because their time is overwhelmed, or they tend to procrastinate and it's hard for them to manage that time consistently. So both of those can get our students in trouble in those honors and AP courses.
Right. This is an interesting question. Can a student who's a junior take technical business communications 1 in their junior year without having had taken the business pathway from freshman year to take place of English 11?
They cannot. They do need to take technical business communication as part of the business pathway, because those earlier courses prepare them for what they need to know for that tech business class.
Let's see. Some of these questions are kind of repeats here. So if we don't answer your question, it's probably because we answered it earlier, and you can go back and review this when it's posted. Can a student double up on computer science A and CSP, computer science principles, in their junior year? Basically 2 computer science AP classes.
Typically, they do not. I would recommend talking to the counselor specifically, but again, only if their junior year is coming up. So sometimes there's a tendency to try to plan way ahead in high school, and that can be a good thing to take a look and have a general idea and plan. But it's also really important right now to focus on your students' upcoming year of high school and what they need for that.
So there's a question about, can they take, for example, a computer science class from Delta College and then register for the AP test? And the answer is yes. A student can register for any AP test that we offer. We've had students do that before. Some have been successful, others have not. You need to really consider whether the course that you've taken elsewhere has actually prepared them for that test. And my question for a student who took a Delta College course for college credit, why would they need to take an AP test if they already have college credit? So Karen, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. So let's just use US history as an example. If that student takes US history at Delta College, and then they take the AP exam in US history and pass that, they're not getting extra credits at most colleges. Colleges consider that equivalent. So it's meeting the same requirement, and it's just spending their time and money to do the same thing twice. So we do not recommend taking an AP exam in a course that they've already taken at the college level.
I think if you're going to register for an AP exam that you did not take the class in, it would be because you've studied on your own, and you've decided that you think you would meet the criteria for getting a passing score that would then be able to go towards college credit in the future. not because you've already taken a college course. What's a weighted GPA and a non-weighted GPA?
That means that if a student takes an honors or an AP class, their GPA is what we call weighted. So in a regular course, an A is worth a 4.0. And in an honors or an AP course, an A is worth a 5.0. So a weighted GPA counts that 5.0 or that boosted credit into the GPA. And that is the GPA that we report to colleges. And an unweighted GPA is as if they didn't have honors and AP. So even if they took the AP course, it's just giving them the 4.0 for an A. That's not how we calculate our GPA at Mountain House High School. So their transcript will show both, but the weighted GPA is the one that we report.
Good. There's a couple of people asking about the name of the language academies outside. I believe the names of those academies are actually in our catalog. Is that not correct?
They're in the presentation on advancement that you have linked a couple times. So it's the International Tamil Academy, Silicon Andhra Manibadi for Telugu, and MBK Hindi Language Center for Hindi.
Okay.
And those are in the slide deck that was shared a couple times on taking non-MHHS courses and advancement.
That one, right?
Yes.
Okay. So the names of them are right in this link again. I'll leave that up for a minute. Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place here. There we go. In choosing electives, would you suggest biology versus biomed honors or biology honors versus biomed, etc.? Is there an overlap?
There is some overlap in that course content, but the recommendation from the science department is that if they're taking principles of biomed, that they take honors biology.
Okay, good. I'm going to take this caption down really quick because somebody is asking for Karen Friesen's email, and so I'm going to flash it up here. There is Karen's email for the person who is asking, what is Karen's email? Let's see. We've answered that. We've answered that. We're almost to the end, folks. So there was a question. So it says, sorry, so 3 levels of foreign language is not mandatory for college, but recommended, right? 2 is required.
That is correct.
Okay, good. Would a 9th grader have to take beginning dance in order to go to advanced dance, or can beginner dance be skipped? And my answer to that would be, just like all the other courses, speak to the instructor at the beginning of the year. I would sign up for the beginning class, contact the instructor, and talk about an assessment. And it's absolutely possible that a student could skip the beginning class.
However, we do encourage students to take that beginning class in a lot of cases because that's part of the pathway. So if they're putting that time into dance, we would love to see them get that pathway recognition.
That's a good question. If students take a placement test for Spanish 1 and join Spanish 2, will they get the year 1 credit?
Great question. So if they're taking a placement test, they are not getting credit. They're only getting credit for an actual course that they have completed. So if they go directly into Spanish 2, they will not get credit for Spanish 1. They will get credit for Spanish 2. However, when colleges see that they have completed Spanish 2, they will assume that they know the content from Spanish 1. So it's not credit, but it is showing that they're able to speak Spanish at a Spanish 2 level.
Great. This one I can answer. Can students join in-person class and later shift to online course for Math 2 honors? So there's 2 answers to this. Number 1 is we do not recommend moving during a school year from a face-to-face course into an online course. And that has to do with just the articulation between the two different courses. They're different curriculums. One is offered through our online provider, which is Edgenuity, and the other is through our face-to-face courses that's been developed by our teachers using Discovery Math Textbook. And while they're learning the same things, the pacing and the order of the concepts are going to be different. And so switching between the two during the same school year is not recommended. If a student, however, takes Math 1 in one year and decides to take online Math 2 in the following year, that is possible to do and is not as disruptive as it would be in the middle of a regular school year. You have anything else to add, Karen?
Well said.
Okay. What's the difference between an AP class and an honors class?
You can think of honors as preparation for AP. So they're both high-level courses, very rigorous, but honors is typically taken in the younger grade levels, and it prepares them with the knowledge and rigor that they need to be ready to perform well in an AP course. And honors courses are for high school credit only. AP courses, they do have the opportunity to take that exam and earn college credit, but both courses are weighted in the GPA and are considered high level and rigorous courses.
Great. There's some questions on here about specific course recommendations, and we're not going to answer those questions here. Those are best answered individually because they're all going to depend on what students' grade is, what their progress has been. So like there's questions about like taking an honors class in one grade and what is recommended for the next step. And that's really going to depend individually. We're trying to answer general questions. So we encourage you to reach out to your counselor before you make those decisions.
I know that there can be some anxiety because you guys know that Friday is the last day for signing up for courses, and due to the high email volume, you might be getting a slower response than usual from your counselor. So please just be aware that even though you will not have access to edit those courses after Friday, we do. So if you have reached out to us with a question and our answer changes your mind about what elective or what level your student will take, we're already in conversation. You can just let us know that you would like to make that change, and we will still be able to edit that for you, and your student will still have an equal chance of getting into that course as any other student. Over the next few weeks, we can still make edits.
Great. Okay, we're almost done here. Is it okay to apply for a math summer program from 8th into 9th grade and go straight from that, taking that math class to Math 2 honors, or do you have to go to regular Math 2?
You can select whichever one you feel ready for.
Perfect. For courses taken at Delta, do they weight do the classes that are articulated weight on our GPA here?
They do.
Okay. There's a question that whether this is a recording for later review, and the answer is yes. It will be at this same link if you're watching it on YouTube. It will also be posted on our Facebook page because it is also on Facebook Live. Does weighted GPA and regular GPA impact on getting their college seat selections?
So colleges each have their own method of calculating GPA. What they will do is they will take all of the coursework that your student has completed throughout high school, whether that's at MHHS or Delta or anywhere. They will look at that all together and they will use their own formula to calculate GPA. And typically they will provide at least some weight for those honors and AP courses. UC and CSU do cap that at 8 semesters, but students can and often do take more than 8 semesters of honors or AP courses. And colleges are not only looking at the number of the GPA, they're also looking at the student's overall course selection and the letter grades that they earned in those courses.
Great. We have like 3 more questions. One is for Victoria Lauren. So I'm going to turn your screen back on. Are there different levels for special education students? meaning are the students still mild to moderate, special need levels? What are the typical class sizes?
Yes, so at the high school, we have our general education classes. We have co-taught classes where there's one general ed teacher, one special ed teacher. We typically have those for English and math classes. We have Learning Lab, which is our resource period. We have our parallel classes, which is a form of SDC. Those classes can range between 10 and 20 students this year. And those we have for English, math, science, history, and English. And then we have our SDC class, which is more working on functional English, functional math, life skills, social skills, things like that.
Great. Thank you so much. There's somebody asking to share the link for placement for Test for Spanish 1. We do not have a link. That, again, we encourage you, if you'd like to skip over Spanish 1 or test out of Spanish 1, that you sign up for Spanish 1 and speak to the instructor. There's no link to take the exam or to sign up for it. You're going to talk to the instructor directly. This is a great question because I think it's one of the reasons why we as parents feel a little bit of anxiety. Does a student have to complete the A to G requirements by junior year in order to apply for college? Or are they going to report what they're taking in the senior year on their application?
That is a really good question. So the A through G requirements are designed to be completed over all 4 years of high school. So even though they're doing their application in the fall of senior year, there's a section on each application where they report which courses they're taking in senior year. Colleges will give them the benefit of the doubt, assuming that they will maintain a similar academic performance to what they've done in previous years, and will make their admissions decisions based on that. Then at the end of senior year, students will submit a final transcript so that the colleges can verify that they did in fact complete those A through G requirements that they said they were planning to take in their senior year.
Great. And there is one last question. So if there's a current freshman student and wants to do a summer course from Delta College for U.S. history, is it too late for registration?
If they are currently in 9th grade and they'd like to take a U.S. history course over this summer, it's actually not even open for registration yet. Delta typically allows them to register toward the end of April or even in May for their summer classes.
And if they're a freshman, they're okay to take U.S. history because they will complete it before the December of the year that they have to sign up for it.
Exactly. So U.S. history is a pretty common one that students do choose to take in the summer after 9th grade.
Yep. Okay. Well, we'd like to thank you very much. We got through all the questions. We're glad that we could answer almost every single question that we had on here. Again, we ask you to reach out to us. I'm going to turn everyone's camera on really quick so everyone can say a quick goodbye. Thank you so much to our department chairs, to our head counselor, and thank you all parents for coming tonight. Let your friends know that we had a nice meeting tonight, that we've answered a lot of their questions. Brian, you have anything to say?
No, thanks for coming out tonight.
All right. Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.